I never wanted to be a researcher. I never wanted to be the project lead on a species that readily defied everything we knew and understood. I never wanted to be the center of attention, the protagonist of any story. But fate never gives you that choice. And fate has a funny way of bringing with it a certain sense of dramatic irony. That was perhaps how I ended up as a curiosity, a test subject, in all but name, for the very species I had once meticulously documented and catalogued. That was perhaps why I had been saved by the very species that I had once considered my lesser. That was perhaps why, as I stand here now clad in human armor, aboard a human ship, I was dying at the hands of a Vanaran that seemed more alien to me than the humans ever were. Yet I refused to accept this as my fate. Just as I had refused to accept my place, as a minor noble, to define me in life that now seems so far away. That was why I chose to enter the military academy, why I had chosen to go down a path that would deny me of the opportunities for noble ascension. A path that had led me down the very research career that I had dreaded, yet had instilled in me experiences that would now prove useful. The weeks of drilling and instruction on the intricacies of Vanaran martial arts had taught me one important lesson, that regardless of the perceived invincibility of one's enemy, they were still as Vanaran as any other. I wasn't the most proficient in the arts, but I knew how to counter them, and what to expect when facing down a fellow Vanaran at CQC. So as I found myself struggling for breath, risking a blackout at the hands of an opponent that did not conform to anything I'd seen before, I kept my composure and responded in kind. With her flanks undefended, I elbowed the crook of her right flank, right where that sensitive lower plexus should have been, where even the strongest of muscle-bound Vanaran should have lost their footing, if not crumpled up entirely, but she did not react. With her foot uncovered, I tried stomping hard and fast with the back sole of my mag boots, risking a complete fracture as the metal hit solid bone, but she did not react. Not even as I heard that unmistakable gut-churning crunch of a solid bone giving way. With no other choice left, my free hand reached for the multi-tool on my suit's utility belt, only for the Vanaran, know this thing, to grip my wrist tight, forcing my hand to give way and fall limp, as a sharp searing pain went up and through my shoulder. "You do not hear it, brother," she spoke, cocking her head sharply to the left, then to the right, in unnatural, almost bird-like motions. Her eyes still locked onto mine as she pulled me in practically an inch from her face. I could feel her breath, warm and heated, like any Vanaran's, yet it wasn't right. It was too controlled, too constant, like every breath was a carefully tuned and purposeful motion rather than an autonomic function. What in the elders are you talking about?" I managed out hoarsely, barely managing each raspy word. "The call. The voice. Do you really not hear it, brother?" This Vanaran continued in the same dulcet, yet perplexed tone, the only time where I could make out something reminiscent of genuine intent behind that unnatural demeanor. Whispers and nascent echoes have warned us of this day. A ban untouched. The Vanaran stopped mid-sentence, its eyes shifted, its ear frills flattened, as it clenched my throat tighter, the darkness now finally overtaking me. "Sleep now. You will awaken whole when you do." The lack of communication from Lasara's part was worrying me, but the constant stream of all clear pings from the shuttle brought me some relief, as it meant that I didn't need to personally supervise the inner workings of the shuttle, or its systems. The Vanaran was more than likely preoccupied with that popsicle of a newfound hope for his kind, and whatever mysteries lay within the mystery Vanaran's head. Overseer's Log 1. I began speaking, but halted my feigned attempts at normalcy almost immediately after. It still didn't feel right taking on that mantle. While I was comfortable where I was now, I needed time. Needed to piece more things together. Observation Log 1. I quickly corrected myself. The interloper freighter is making me worried. Outwardly it resembles much of their freighter-type designs post-war, if the logs gathered from the satellite are of any indication. However, and here's the big however, the internal layout is just all wrong. Normally these things have a central nexus, a bridge of sorts, that the interlopers use exclusively, rarely commuting, rarely even stepping out of their confines. This nexus would connect to the individual interloper. connecting their brains to a dumb AI-assisted neural accelerator which would allow them to function in the same playing field as human minds in combat. But this ship has none of that. I get it though. It seems as if a multi-species alien crew is on board, and that's how it's functioning. That's all well and good. But that doesn't explain why the cargo hold just isn't there. It's filled with this mess, an organic mess of just, I can't even tell what it is. Not without a sample at least. Suffice it to say, this isn't making any sense. And I'm starting to get worried. It's not like it can hurt me though. It's dead in the water. I've severed its engines, torn off the few shielding components it had left. But I can't get over what that mass is. I'm going to need to have a long sit-down with Lysara when he comes back. Though I wonder if the conversation would be dominated by the issue of the Vanarans on board and what's to be done with them. Observation log 1. And I woke up in a haze. My arms felt heavy, and my legs felt as if they were being weighed down by a brick. As my eyes cleared, I finally realized where I was. I was back on the bridge of the shuttle, on one of the 2 passenger seats just immediately behind of the pilot's seat and console. "Ah, you're awake." I heard that same alien voice emanating from the figure in front of me. "Good. I'm going to require your assistance when we get on board your mothership." No, it continued as my eyes widened as soon as I saw what was immediately in front of us. Yes. You were out for a bit. But we're returning to your mothership now. After that, I'll unbind you, and we can get this over with. I ask again. I managed out, coughing, as my throat still stung from earlier. "What the hell are you? Isn't that obvious, untouched one?" It spoke. That dulcet tone once more shifted to something more resembling mischievousness. "I'm a Vanaran." "No, you are not," I barked back. It sighed. "No. Perhaps not to you. I don't blame you though. We've always assumed there were some brothers and sisters that evaded the true awakening. We've always assumed that the humans must have had some part in meddling in our affairs. There was always this myth, this legend, this idea that the humans could have possibly modified us to such an extent that we no longer had the view arc to hear the songs of the voice. It was always just a myth, until you, of course. Vurk. Oh, how the humans must have mangled you, brother. Yes, I am referring to your Vurk. A sensory organ, long hidden, long dormant in our kind. Long forgotten. Waiting, sleeping, until the day we heard the voice. All of this can, and will be explained, after we take your mothership, and bring you before the old owns. My head frills practically sunk at the false Vanaran's words as I began to struggle against my binds. I looked down to see both of my arms bound in front of me, the sensation in my left arm allowing me to fidget and struggle with it, but to my shock I felt no such sensation in my right. Probably as a result of that nerve pinch when I attempted to stab the beast with my multi-tool. The sensation in my legs soon came after, but once again the magnetic cuffs it strapped to my suit kept me firmly in place. "Calm down, brother. You'll feel better after hearing the voice. But first, we have to deal with this human interloper you so graciously brought before us." The shuttle was finally returning. I opened the small hangar bay doors as I got my robot platform ready to greet Lysara and this mystery Vanaran. I'd managed to isolate the source of that mystery signal from the freighter in the meantime, and suffice it to say it wasn't being broadcasted from the radio array that I'd already shot off. It was coming from that organic mass, and it was broadcasting on several frequencies in a manner that just didn't make any sense from the standpoint of a traditional receiver. Decoding it yielded nothing. Parsing it through any and all signal processing software from digital to nonlinear to even statistical ended up with just more mangled gibberish. I decided to simply end it at that, given the proximity of Lysara's shuttle to the ship. Everything was effectively put on hold as I placed most of my conscious attention onto receiving Lysara. I was dragged roughly out of my seat, forced to stand as the false Vanaran marched me back down the entire length of the shuttle and onto the exit ramp. That still remained shut. The voice. I began hoarsely. Is it far? Where is it? I just want to know because this human ship doesn't have much in the way of an engine. It's really badly damaged, and That is not your concern, Untouched One. All will be revealed in due course. It's in the freighter. It's in the freighter, isn't it? The false Vannerin stopped cold in her tracks. You mentioned, us, plural. That I brought the humans to all of you. It must have been on the fleet, or in the only ship that was pulled back from the battle. It's inside there, isn't it? Whatever it is that's doing this. The old owns, the... I will hear no more from you, Untouched One. Now. When I open this door, I want you to tell your human ally to stand down. Is that clear? I remained silent, before nodding as the blinding lights of the hangar pierced through my retinas. The scene that unfolded before me wasn't what I expected at all, as I saw Lasara, bound, with the mystery Vannerin hidden behind him, pushing him forward and out of the shuttle. What? Shoot the freighter. Take it down now. The Vannerin shouted, as I felt my platform pelted with the plasma bolts from the mystery Vannerin's sidearm. My consciousness quickly shifted back to my ship's elf. Genuine panic finally settled within me as I refused to waste a second in heeding Lasara's warnings. In a fraction of a second my ventral guns were once more trained on the freighter, and in that same second the laser arrays fired, searing the thin outer hull of the freighter, and penetrating deep into that round, fleshy mass. I was only able to observe it for a few milliseconds, before it too was disintegrated into dust and gas, the rest of the ship following in its demise, as what had been the object of my fascination had ceased to exist. My hunch was right. Because as soon as Ver's platform had dropped dead, so too would the false Vannerin, as she loosened her grip on me and her gun, before crumpling down into a seething mess frothing at the mouth. Yet I couldn't take any chances, especially after what happened. It was difficult and cumbersome, but I managed to fumble my way into grabbing the plasma pistol with my one, bound, yet working hand, and shot her. The seizing quickly stopped, and an acrid smell of burnt flesh filled the air. I breathed a sigh of relief, leaning against the hull of the shuttle, whilst still maintaining a vice grip on that pistol. The sudden screech from the PA system quickly filled the dead air with a decidedly confused, concerned, and panicked Ver, as he practically shouted. Lasara. You and I are going to need a long debrief after you get yourself sorted out in the med bay. A dumb grin quickly found itself on my face after that. I didn't know why, or if it even made any sense, but that too was quickly followed by a short yet unexpected laugh. What's so funny? I just had a thought, Ver. What if we were the real interlopers in this situation? All right, let's add a full CT and MRI head scan to that MED bay visit.